guys, welcome back to my channel once again. I hope you are doing absolutely fine. Today we will start one of the most important topic in the first chapter, that is SCR. Okay, so let us see that what are the topics that we will learn in the SCR chapter. This is in the first chapter, that is your semiconductor devices. Let's see what are the subtopics that we will learn. First of all, the basics of SCR, their working principle and all, and then VI characteristics, okay. Next comes your triggering methods, of SCR. Next comes your latching current, concept of latching current. Here we will see some numericals which are very important for gate point of view. Numericals. Again, holding current. Here we will also see some numericals. Okay. So latching current, holding current. Then comes your protection of SCR. Here we will see a thermal protection, and your snubber circuit. In both the topics you have numericals. Okay. So thermal protection and snubber circuit. This is the protection. Then comes your series parallel operation of SCR. Okay. Here you also have numericals. So these are the subtopics that we will learn in SCR. In this class we will try to finish up to your latching current. These four topics we will cover, and I am trying to break SCR into 2 or 3 videos. Let us see how much video turns out at the final. So in the first video we will see these 4 topics. So you have basics, VI characteristics, then triggering methods, then latching current, then holding current, concept of latching current, concept of holding current, protection of SCR, then series parallel operation of SCR. Okay, so these are the topics that we will see. So let us start. So first we will see basics. SCR means, the full form is silicon controlled rectifier. Silicon controlled rectifier. See, we will explain each and every part of the silicon controlled rectifier. First, see basics. See, SCR comes in the family of thyristors. Okay, it comes from the family of thyristors. SCR is a family member in the thyristor family. So it is under thyristor family. What is thyristor? Thyristor is basically it has the characteristics like a thyratron tube. Like a thyratron tube, and characteristics like thyratron tube, and your constructional feature is like a transistor. Okay, so you have this from the naming. This thyratron, and transistor ester, that is thyristor. Okay, these two comes and make the word thyristor. So what are the switches that comes under thyristor family? They are GTO, gate turn off thyristor, UJT, unijunction transistor, okay, RCT, reverse conducting thyristor, then your SCR. Okay, so these comes under the family of thyristor, and the SCR is so widely used that the term SCR and thyristor goes simultaneously because of the wide use of your SCR. Okay, so the SCR mainly comes under the family of thyristor. The thyristor has the characteristics like a thyretron tube. You do not need to go into deep into thyretron tube. No, not needed for your gate and AC. Okay, and the constructional feature is your transistor. So it is constructed similar to transistor, and it resembles the characteristics like your thyretron tube. That's why these are called thyristor. So thyristor family consists of GTO, UJT, RCT, SCR, and many more. These are the main 4 devices that we will see. And because of the wide use of the SCR, the term SCR and thyristor goes simultaneously. Means nowadays, if anyone called SCR, that means by default everyone knows that is a thyristor. Okay, that is another named as thyristor also. So again, if you see the use of thyristor, that means by default that is SCR. Okay. Now let us see what are the constructional features of a SCR. Okay, constructional features. In constructional features, see, the SCR is basically a PNPN configuration. That is, if you see, that is P plus, then N minus, then P, then N plus. So see, PNPN device, and there are 3 junctions. This junction is J1, this junction is J2, and this junction is J3. Okay, so you have anode here, you have cathode here, means that is the positive terminal, that is the negative terminal, and you have the gate terminal over the P layer. Okay, so this is the basic construction, PNPN. So you can say it's constructed like a PNP and NPN transistor connected. Okay, PNP and NPN transistor. That's why this is called it exhibiting the constructional feature similar to a transistor. Okay, now if you see the practical construction, okay, so what it will look like. This is your P plus N minus P, and the N layer is constructed like this. Okay, this is your N plus layer, and this is your gate terminal, this is your cathode, this is your anode, this is positive and this is negative. This is a constructional idea of a SCR. And see, there is a threading, there is some threading done here. That means there is some threading, mechanical threading. This is used to fit the SCR into a particular circuit. You just connect it into a particular circuit with the use of this threading. And the symbol of a thyristor is this. It is similar to a diode, but there is an additional gate terminal over here. See, this is the gate terminal. Okay, so this is a 3 terminal, okay, 4 layer, 3 junction device. So what is SCR? SCR is 3 terminal, 3 junction and 4 layer device. Okay, and see the gate terminal in the symbol. This is a symbol. This is a symbol of a thyristor or SCR. In symbol, you can see that the gate terminal is connected near the cathode, means near this terminal. Because in the construction also, in the constructional view also, you can see the gate terminal is connected near to the cathode. That's why we put the gate terminal over here, not here. Okay, remember this. This is similar to a diode with a gate terminal. So what are the things? You have 3 junctions and you have this constructional view and you have the symbol. Okay. Now let us see what will be the forward bias characteristics, what will be the reverse bias characteristics, what will be the forward blocking characteristics. Let us see. So it is a 3-terminal 4-layer device. Now see what will happen if we connect the SCR like this. Suppose this is your load terminal and plus minus. See the SCR, or suppose let us assume that this is a diode. So this will be forward bias. This will be forward bias. But the thing is that in SCR, as soon as you apply the gate triggering or the triggering of the SCR will start conduct. If the triggering is not applied at the gate terminal, means this gate terminal, the SCR will not conduct. Okay. Now let us see what is happening when we apply a positive voltage. Means the P end, the anode is connected to the positive end of the battery and the cathode is connected to the negative end. What is happening inside the SCR? See, suppose this is your PN junctions. Okay, and this is your junction J1, junction J2, junction J3. Okay. Now if you apply, so this is the forward blocking state. SCR operates in 3 different modes: forward blocking, forward conduction, reverse blocking. But the stable states are forward conduction and reverse blocking. The forward blocking is an unstable state. Okay, we'll discuss. So if you apply some positive voltage here like this, so what will happen? This J1 junction will be in forward bias. This J1 junction will be in forward bias. See, J1 junction is in forward bias. The J3 junction will be again in forward bias. See, the positive end is connected here, the negative end is connected here. Again, the negative end is connected here, positive end connected here. So these 2 junctions, J1 and J3, they are in forward bias. Now what will happen? This J2 junction will be in reverse bias. Why this is reverse bias? See, the N is connected to the positive and the P is connected to the negative. So J1 is in forward bias, J2 is in reverse bias and J3 is in forward bias. So this reverse bias junction is blocking the current flow. Okay, now if you want to know the depletion width of this junction, then J2 will be more than J1, will be more than J3. This is the depletion width, that is J2. The depletion width of J2 is more than J1 and that is more than J3. See, which blocks the forward conduction of the SCR? The J2 junction blocks the forward conduction because this junction is in reverse bias. Now, what will happen? Suppose you have a variable supply here, variable source. So if you increase by any means the source voltage, what will happen? After some time, this reverse bias junction will be in avalanche breakdown. When you increase when Vs is increased, at that time the reverse bias junction will be in avalanche breakdown, and this avalanche breakdown will move away, will put away this your reverse bias depletion width, and the device will be in conduction mode. Okay. So when Vs is more, when Vs is exceeding a particular value of voltage, then your already J1 and J3 in forward bias, so they are ready to conduct. But J2, as soon as you cross some threshold value of Vs, which breaks the reverse bias junction, then the device starts working, and that state will be known as forward conduction. Okay, forward conduction. So in forward blocking state, what are the things happening? This J1 junction in forward bias, this is also in forward bias, but J2 is in reverse bias. See, this plus is connected to the P, the negative is connected to the N, so J1 is forward bias. Similarly, negative is connected to the N and this is connected to the P, so this is forward bias, but J2 junction is in reverse bias. And the depletion width of J2 is more than J1, it is more than J3. So the depletion width, the reverse biasing of the J2 junction is not allowing the forward conduction of the thyristor or SCR. Now what will happen? Suppose we increase the source voltage in such a way that this reverse bias junction, this junction avalanche breakdown occurs, then this barrier, this J2 barrier is broken and your device starts conduction, and that mode you call the forward conduction mode. So the two modes we have seen, forward blocking and forward conduction. Okay, now let us see a third mode which will be known as reverse blocking. Okay, in reverse blocking, see, some negative voltage is applied across the thyristor or SCR. The negative is connected here, the positive is connected here, so that's it. That is reverse bias. And see, this time your junction 1 is in reverse bias. Junction 2 is in also reverse bias, but junction 3 is in reverse bias, but junction 2 is in forward bias. See, the reverse conduction is happening. These junction J1 and J3, they are in reverse bias, but junction J2 is in forward bias. And you know, the width of J1, the depletion width of J1 is more than depletion width of J3 is more than depletion width of J2. Okay, remember this. The depletion width of J1 is more than the depletion width of J3 is more than depletion width of J2. This mode is called your reverse blocking mode. Reverse blocking mode. In reverse blocking mode, what is happening? We are applying the negative voltage across the SCR, and we are seeing that the SCR fails to conduct because two reverse bias junctions are there, and they are not allowing the reverse current to flow through the SCR. Okay. See, you have three junctions now. This junction is in reverse bias. How this is reverse bias? See, the negative end connected to the P plus and the positive end connected to N minus. So that is in reverse bias. See, in this J3 also, your negative end is connected to P and the positive end is connected to N. So that is again reverse bias. But this junction, negative end is connected to the N and positive end is connected to the P. So that is in forward bias. And the depletion width of J1 is more than depletion width of J2 and depletion width of J3. Suppose you apply, suppose again you have a variable voltage source, and if you are changing this voltage source by some means, and suppose you are increasing the voltage, the reverse voltage, increasing the reverse voltage, what will happen? At first, this J1 will broke, then J3 will broke, and the J2 is already in forward bias, so it will start conducting in the reverse direction. In that case, your SCR will be damaged. SCR will be damaged. Okay? Your SCR will be damaged. So what will happen? If you increase the voltage, the source voltage, such that first this J1 junction is broken, then your J3 junction is broken, then automatically as J1 is broken, the depression with J1 is more than J3. As J1 is broken at first, J3 breaks immediately after J1 is broken. Then what will happen? J2 is already in forward bias mode. So these two broken junction and your forward bias J2 will start conducting the current in the reverse direction, which will lead to the SCR in damaged condition. So there is a certain voltage which we will see in VI characteristics, that is VBR, the reverse braking voltage. Okay, the reverse breakdown voltage. Reverse breakdown voltage. Okay, if you increase this reverse breakdown voltage, if you increase the source voltage up to a certain point that it exceeds the reverse breakdown voltage, your junction J1 is broken, then J3 is broken immediately after that, and J2 is already in forward bias condition, and your SCR starts conducting in the reverse direction, and the SCR is completely damaged. You cannot use that SCR again. Okay, so we have seen three modes. First of all, the forward blocking mode, forward conduction mode, and your reverse blocking mode. In the stable modes are forward conduction mode and reverse blocking mode. The forward blocking mode is not a stable state. Okay, so this is a stable state. Again, we have seen in forward conduction also that is a stable state, but forward blocking is not a stable state. Now let us see the VI characteristics. See, this is the VI characteristics. How we have drawn the VI characteristics. See, these are the three junctions, J1, J2 and your J3. This portion up to this, it is your forward blocking condition. That means you have applied the positive voltage across the thyristor, and this is your forward blocking condition. Forward blocking condition. And this voltage, that is VBO, forward breakover voltage. What is this voltage? You have seen that this junction in forward blocking condition is in forward bias. This is in reverse bias. This is in forward bias, and again this is in reverse bias. And you have seen that after a certain positive voltage, if you apply some positive voltage over here, like this, if you apply some positive, reverse bias junctions is avalanche broken down, and that voltage at which this reverse bias junction is completely broken is called your breakover voltage or forward breakover voltage. Breakover voltage. Okay, so what is VBO? VBO is the voltage that when this J2 junction is completely broken down, then avalanche breakdown occurs when you do not apply some gate signal. That means you haven't applied till yet any gate signal. So IG, the gate current, is 0. Okay, and see, in this you have a small leakage current. See, there is a small value of current. In y-axis you have current, na? So there is a small value of current. So this is forward leakage current. This is forward leakage current. Okay, so this is your forward leakage current. And see, this curve jumps from here to here and comes still here. In this point, at this time, the SCR have a certain current value which is known as latching current. We will see what is latching current. Latching current is the current below which the SCR is turned off and above which the SCR is turned on. And see this current is called your holding current. Holding current. Holding current is related to your turn off time, and latching current is related to your turn on time. And see, there is a certain voltage drop, okay, certain voltage drop in your this region. See, when the SCR is on, when the SCR is conducting, see a certain voltage drop. This is called VT. This is about 2 to 3 volts. 2 to 3 volts. Generally, this is 2 to 3 volts in range. Okay, and this leakage current is about few microamperes or milliamperes. Microampere to milliampere, not more than that. Okay, so this is your forward conduction mode. See this mode. Whenever the anode current exceeds your latching current, your device is turned on. So what is latching current? The amount of current after which your SCR starts conducting. That current is called your latching current. Okay. And see, this breakover voltage is you have not applied any kind of gate signal. Okay, you have not applied. But what you do, you are increasing the source voltage. So at a certain point, your SCR will start conduct as the junction J2 will be broken. The avalanche breakdown will occur, and that voltage will call your breakover voltage. And remember, this is called one type of forward voltage triggering of the thyristor. You never use the forward voltage triggering, as it may permanently damage the second junction, the junction J2. So this method, we never go up to VBO. The forward voltage which we apply across the thyristor, we never go after VBO, because after VBO what can happen? See, this J2 junction can be permanently broken and the thyristor will be of no use. So that's why we try to go below this. How? We'll see. If we apply some gate signal, the gate current will reduce your breakover voltage. Okay. So this is all about your forward characteristics. This is your forward conduction characteristics, and this is your forward blocking characteristics. Okay. Now let's come to the reverse blocking characteristics. This is your reverse blocking. Okay. And again, you see, when the thyristor is in reverse bias or reverse voltage is applied, there is some small amount of current which will flow across the thyristor. See, this amount of current, and this is the y-axis consisting of current, and it is in the reverse direction. See, the y-axis is reversed, so it is in reverse direction. This also some microampere to milliampere. This is reverse leakage current. Reverse leakage current. Okay. And this voltage at which the thyristor starts conducting the reverse direction is called your reverse breakover voltage, or VBR. So this is your forward breakover voltage, and this is your reverse breakdown voltage. You can say breakdown voltage. VBR is reverse breakdown voltage. Okay. So these are the VI characteristics, and see, these are the three modes that the thyristor can operate. But the forward conduction mode, this is forward conduction mode, and the reverse blocking, this is forward conduction mode. No space to write. See here, forward conduction. This is your forward conduction mode, and this is your reverse blocking mode. And whenever the reverse conduction appears, the thyristor is completely damaged. Okay. Now we have analyzed SCR VI characteristics without any gate signal. That means till now we have not applied any kind of gate signal. Now how this forward conduction is achieved? We have applied the VS in such a way that the J2, this VBO, that means J2 is broken down and the thyristor starts conducting, but that method is not recommended for thyristor triggering, as it may permanently damage the J2 junction. So you can never use thyristor again after using this forward voltage triggering. So That is not recommended. Now see, what are the triggering methods, means turn on methods of SCR. Now let us see. Now let us see what are the turn on methods of SCR. The first method is your forward voltage triggering. We have already seen the forward voltage triggering that we have applied, and whenever the VBO, the gate signal is not applied in this case. The gate signal is not applied. Whenever you apply the source voltage more than the forward breakover voltage, that is VBO, when your Vs is more than VBO, the J2 junction is broken down and you have the thyristor in conduction mode. But that method is not recommended. Not recommended, as it may permanently damage the J2 junction, which may damage SCR itself. So this method is not recommended. Now the second method is your gate triggering method. Okay, the second method is your gate triggering. Now let us see how the gate triggering turns on SCR. See, gate triggering. Okay, see, the SCR videos, the length will be longer because it is a very vast topic and one of the most important topic for gate point of view also and EAC point of view also and your semester exams also. Okay, so these videos cannot be shortened. These are detailed analysis. You have to keep patience and watch these videos with your with your time. So gate trigger. See, you have seen the VI characteristics, na? The forward VI characteristics, like this, like this. This is your forward VI characteristics, and this is your breakover voltage. Whenever the gate current is 0, whenever the IG, the gate signal, is 0. Now what will happen? Suppose you have applied a gate signal. Okay, you have applied a gate signal. What will happen? See, if we see the basic construction, okay, see the basic construction. This is P plus N minus P N plus. Now this is J1, this is J2, this is J3, junction 1, PN junction 1, PN junction 2, PN junction 3. Now suppose you have applied some gate signal. Okay, a positive gate signal. Remember, a positive gate signal. In SCR, if you apply, in forward blocking state, in reverse blocking state, if you apply negative gate signal, serious damage will happen in the SCR. We will also discuss that. Now let us see, if you have given some gate voltage, so the gate current flows. Okay, then what will happen? The conduction, the carrier density in your P terminal increases. The carrier density in the P terminal increases, and what will happen? As the number of electrons in the N plus layer is more, some electrons will come into your P layer, and some electrons will also drift away from the P layer. But some of the electrons, see, here is your depression region. You have applied forward voltage across the main circuit. This is the main circuit, and this is your triggering circuit. Okay, see, I have told you, na, that in power electronics you have two kind of circuits, main power circuit and your control circuit. So this is your control circuit and this is your main power circuit. See, this is an example. Okay, and suppose this is the depletion width. Now some electrons which are in the P substrate coming from the N plus layer will be swiped away like this, and they will recombine with your these positive ions. They will recombine with your these positive ions, and in return what will happen, this junction width, depletion width will be reduced. Okay, so what are the steps? When we apply the gate current, some gate signal, some positive gate signal, the carrier concentration in P increases. Some of the electrons in the N plus layer, they move towards your P layer. Okay, because the carrier density is more, the doping level is more in N plus layer. And what will happen? Some of the electrons will be drift away from this layer and some of the electrons will swipe away from this, and they will reach this N minus layer and they will recombine with your positive ions in the depletion region. And the depletion region, width of the depletion region will be decreased. Width will be J2 width. Okay, because these two junctions are already in forward bias, so the J2 width will be decreased. As the J2 width is decreased, the breakover voltage, the value of the breakover voltage is also decreased. Okay, and after a certain gate signal, this junction is completely broken down and the device starts conducting. See, if we apply some gate current, the curve changes like this. Okay, the curve changes like this. Like this. The curve changes like this. You have Ig1, you have Ig2, and your Ig1 is greater than your Ig2. See, this is not Ig. This value is your Ig. Okay, this value is your Ig, and this is your breakover voltages VBO1, VBO2. See, this is your Ig current 0. Okay, this is your Ig current 0. That is your breakover voltage. And see, the breakover voltage has reduced whenever you apply some gate signal. And remember, VBO1 is less than VBO2. As your gate current is more, see, the depletion width is decreasing. If your gate current is more, the depletion width is increasing, because the gate current enables that more carrier concentration in the anode current. Okay, so this is gate triggering. So in gate triggering, what is happening? If you apply some positive voltage in the gate, some gate current will flow, and that enables the device, that triggers the device to conduct the forward current. And see, if I plot, see, the plot changes like this. The VI plot, whenever we apply some gate signal, the VI plot changes like this. And if I plot the gate current versus your breakover voltage, the curve will look like this. Okay, so this is your VBO and this is your Ig. See, at this point your Ig is 0. See, at this point your Ig is 0 and VBO is a very large value. And as soon as you start increasing your Ig value, see, the voltage, the breakover voltage is decreasing. See, the breakover voltage is decreasing. And this kind of method is known as your gate triggering method. Ig1, this is Ig1, Ig2, which is greater than, Ig1 is greater than Ig2, like this. Okay. And this is your forward breakover voltage. Okay, this is your forward breakover voltage. And remember one thing, the VBR, the reverse breakdown voltage, is always greater than your VBO. Okay. So the ACRs are typically designed in this voltage rating. In this voltage rating, not in this voltage rating. So to keep the ACR in a safe operating region, the ACR is designed to operate the voltage rating of the ACR, which is given in the nameplate of the ACR, is this VBO, not this VBR. Okay. So this is your forward gate triggering. This is the second triggering method. So let us see what is the third triggering method. The third triggering method is your DVDT triggering. DVDT triggering. So what is DVDT triggering? The DVDT triggering is basically a surge triggering. DVDT triggering. It is basically a surge triggering. Let us see how this is achieved. Suppose this is your thyristor. Okay, this is your thyristor. In forward conduction mode, see, in all the triggering methods, the ACR must be in forward blocking mode. In forward blocking mode, all the triggering methods, because if the ACR is in reverse bias condition and if you trigger the gate terminal, massacre will happen. Okay. So in the forward blocking mode, see, this is a junction, this is J2 junction, and any junction can be considered, which is in reverse bias, can be considered as a capacitor. Yes or no? This can be considered as a capacitor, and the capacitor will carry some charging current, and if this charging current, the value of the charging current is high enough, then you see in forward blocking state, see, if the value of the charging current is high enough, charging current is basically your anode current, na? See that the direction is same. So if the charging current value is high enough, then your device starts conducting. And see, IC means dq/dt. The charging current means change of charge with respect to time. And see, Q equals to Cj, that is junction capacitance. Cj is junction capacitance. Okay, this is junction capacitance, and Q equal to CV. VA is your anode voltage, forward anode voltage. Let us consider this is your anode voltage. Okay, this is your anode voltage, like this. And if you differentiate, so these are two variables, Cj into VA, VA keeping constant. Again, differentiation of VA with respect to T and Cj keeping constant. But this junction capacitance, as the depletion width is constant, the junction capacitance with respect to time, the derivative is 0. So this is 0. Now this whole thing is converted into the dVdt, VAdt into Cj. As Cj is constant only, so the IC has now become ddt of VA into Cj. Now as Cj is constant, the junction capacitance is constant. So IC is proportional to ddt of VA. Okay. So if you increase this dVdt, then IC is increased. That is known as your dVdt triggering. And remember, this dVAdt is basically a voltage surge. sometimes an unwanted voltage surge. Suppose your device is in forward blocking mode and this unwanted voltage surge will trigger your device. You are not trying to, you are not, willing to start the SCR in conduction mode. But what will happen? Suppose a voltage surge is appearing across your device, in any kind, for any reason. Okay, for any reason. Suppose there is a voltage surge is appearing across your SCR when your SCR is in forward blocking mode. Then what will happen? The SCR will automatically be triggered and your SCR will start conducting. But you are not wanting the SCR to conduct, but the SCR is conducting. So this is because of the junction capacitance that is forming. Okay, we will see that this DVDT protection is also achieved with the help of snubber circuit and all. We will see. So this is all about your DVDT triggering. This is because of the junction capacitance. Okay. Now there are two more triggering methods. One is thermal triggering and your light triggering. The most three important methods, which is conceptual, we have done. The last two, and the last one is your light triggering. Okay, so these are the main 5 methods. See, in thermal triggering, the forward breakover voltage, the VBO, is directly proportional to your temperature. Okay, the forward breakover voltage is directly proportional to your temperature. And this will be inversely proportional. And why this is inversely proportional? As the temperature is increased. Okay, let me check one thing. As the temperature is decreased, the forward breakover voltage increases. But as the temperature is increased, this is increased. As this is inversely proportional, the forward breakover voltage decreases. Okay. So what is happening? When you increase the temperature, the value of the VBO decreases. And if the value of VBO decreases, that ensures the triggering of the SCR. Okay. So if you increase the junction J2 temperature, then what will happen? The VBO will decrease, and after certain increase of temperature, the carrier concentration increases in such a way that your device is triggered automatically, and that is known as your thermal triggering. As temperature and thermal are similar words, they are used parallelly. So if you increase the junction temperature somehow, then your device is automatically triggered. And in the case of light triggering, suppose, first of all, this is used in HVDC applications. In HVDC application, you have this triggering method, and that kind of SCR which is used in light triggering will be called as LASCR, Light Activated Silicon Controlled Rectifier. Light Activated Silicon Controlled Rectifier. So how that is achieved? A recess means a small hole is connected or is constructed across your P plus N minus P N minus N plus. A small hole or a recess is connected over this terminal or the gate terminal. Now a certain light of wavelength, a particular wavelength light, is now fallen across your P terminal, which enables the carrier concentration, which increases the carrier concentration, and your device starts conducting. So what is happening? Because of the radiation effect of the light, due to the certain wavelength, the wavelength is fixed. Plus at a particular wavelength, your device is triggered, similar to if you apply some gate terminal voltage, similar things will happen. What will happen? The carrier concentration will increase and your device starts working. So what will happen? If you apply some particular wavelength light, this device is triggered just like your gate terminal is triggered. Okay? And sometimes what will happen? We apply both gate current and your light and a particular wavelength light. Okay? So that the intensity of the light is low. Okay, the required intensity of the light is low. So we, in practical, sometimes we use gate triggering plus LSCR. So what is the advantage of this method? As the gate current, okay, the gate current lowers your VBO. The VBO is lowered, na? Because if we apply some gate current, the VBO, the forward breakover voltage, is lowered, and the intensity of the light which is requiring to trigger the SCR is low, and the SCR is triggered quite easily. So these are the 5 methods of turn on or triggering of the SCR. Now we will see a kind of numerical, okay, the latching current based numerical for the case of SCR.